Hi, everybody. This is Monica Paolini from Senza Fili, and today we're going to talk about the Open RAN ecosystem, all the way from the radio to the rec, system integration. We'll cover everything. And to do that, I have the pleasure to have with me two great speakers. I have Mizuno-san Shingo. He is the head of global business and EVP at Fujitsu, and Femi Adeyemi, and he is the head of wireless business at Fujitsu. Mizuno-san and Femi, welcome to our conversation. Now, as always, to get started, we want to make sure that our audience knows who you are and what you're doing at Fujitsu, and then we'll go deep into the Open RAN discussion. So, Mitsuno-san, do you want to tell us?
Okay, thank you, Monica. My name is Shingo Mizuno. I'm the responsible for the network business in the Fujitsu. So I have the career. I have started my job since the 32 years before. So it was also related to network, almost a wireless side. And then I had some experience for the network, including optical and also some of the routers or something, the mobile. So now I stay in the United States, in the Texas. That's the reason why we would like to the more integrated market to be direction to the opens. So I would like to expand it to Japan business and also the United States in the business in terms of the open network. So anyway, thank you very much today. This kind of opportunity for me.
Yes, that's interesting, and you're going to bring a very good perspective of Japan, U.S. So that's really interesting. Femi, how about you? You've been in the U.S. for a longer time, right?
Yes. It's good to meet everybody on the interview. I'm Femi Adeyemi. I've been with Fujitsu for about 10 years, and I'm responsible for wireless business with the focus of introducing wireless technologies to the North American operators. What we found is that we are very well known in Japan, and now in North America, slowly but surely, we are bringing a lot of the great things that we've done across the Asia, across other markets in terms of wireless and base stations and software into North America. And we'll also be layering on top of that integration. So yeah, it's a good time to discuss what we're doing and what we'll be doing in the future.
Absolutely, and I think it's interesting because your role is evolving, and so Mitsuno-san, maybe you can give us a little bit of the wider picture of what's going on, what's changing at Fujitsu.
Okay, thank you very much. For the Fujitsu, currently we aim to the partners with our customers to use open technologies to help realize a more sustainable societies. So I think what open can bring the values to the customer, not only the customer, to the society. So I think this is just only the value of the open network. I think everybody knows that, but I would like to mention regarding the 3 points. So the left side is closed and the right side open. So first, the value is the no vendor lock-in, which is many of the values. Namely, the customer have that reduce the risk of the supply chain issues, and also they pick up their best of breed technologies to realize that their network to be more sustainable. So the second point is a flexible pipe to meet the user requirement. User means not operators, but also the users. And I think the network usage currently extended more and more. Likely, just before the 10 years, it is only for the users, like the consumers. But in the recently that the network can be used for the enterprise market and also the some of the societies regarding the smart cities and also the smart life. So I think the requirement on top of the network will be more various, not needed to depend on that some of the roadmap which provided a few vendors. So it could be a more flexible requirement to be implemented by various vendors. And the third point, it is also linked to the requirement, but this is the focus on the green innovations. So the access to the silicon and the software hub, so that we can have the cutting edge silicons and also the photonics optical technologies and also the optimized network by the software powers. So I think those three are the why do we focus on the open network, which is we believe that those the values can be bring to the operators and also the societies. So that's the reason why, on top of this, Fujitsu is currently the network business is that the network expertise, the communication service providers. I think the more 40 years, we have the long histories to building and supporting Japan and also North America critical network infrastructures. So our value is that the hardware, software, and the services. Services means the integration of the network. So especially the wireless side and optical side. Also, we aim to be open. So the wireless side, the OLAN is kind of the open LAN ecosystem. Maybe then Femi will explain more. And also the optical side, there is a some of the trend to be open. That means much vendors optical network. And also there might be some of the IP network to be more virtualized and also the open. So on top of those the trend, the important point was the softwares can be optimized based on the customer requirement, and also the integration service is a key to guarantee the quality and also the securities. Those are they combine those four values. We would like to extend it our business and our presence, not only Japan and also the US market. That's the reason why we located in the US since the beginning of this year, beginning of this fiscal year, since this May. So we just established in the one teams among the US team, US members, and also the Japan members. So we're thinking the more dailies we discuss how can we bring our values and how can we grow our values. So I would like to mention here, will be the Fujitsu network will be some of the leaders of the ecosystem to bring that open network values to the customer and the society.
Absolutely excellent. So maybe you can tell us, how is your experience in Japan going to be valuable in not just US, the rest of the world?
I think our value is not only from the Japan, but also the US side. So those two values will be combined, one more single and the integrated values between US and Japan. And also in Japan side, we have the good knowledge about some of the power consumption reduction. So this is more linked to the hardware, like RU. We currently provided a dish network, which is quite the small size, and also the power consumption is lowest one. So that kind of also we bring up the new generation optical transport side. This is also we have some of the values quite low power consumption the chipset.
Great. So there is a lot to talk about here because your experience is both deep and wide. So Femi, let's get started on this. So you guys encompass the whole ecosystem, right? Obviously, you work with others, but you cover a
Yes,
lot of the areas, and that starts with the radios, right?
correct, correct. So we have a pedigree of supplying the best radios in the world, and these are quotes from our customers. This is not even Fujitsu trying to make ourselves feels good. We do that with different spectrum, massive MIMO, and so many other radios. When our competitors don't know what to do, they actually come to us so that we are able to help them to solve problems. We introduced the first remote radio head about 25 years ago or more in Japan. And since then, we have been actively supplying radios into the world market. But it has been very difficult to enter the North American market until the Open RAN strategy, which has now become a success for us in introducing our technical features, best in breed of very, very compact, very light radios. We are designing them to be modular so that it's very, very easy to adapt them for other use cases and other operators. We are interworking all of this with vRAN. So it's a combo of vRAN and ORAN as far as Fujitsu is concerned. So we are bringing to bear the advantages that others have been talking about when it comes to open interface and open interoperability. On the supply chain front, others have had a lot of issues, but we have been able to even go through that with our radios as well, in supporting our customers, in making sure that those radios are available for them when they need it to really build the network that they want. So it's a great time for us. Introduction has happened. We are seeing the fruits of that with the likes of Dish in North America. We're getting traction now with others as well on the radio front.
Yeah, and I think that sort of tells already that Open RAN is a success in the sense that vendors like you have more of a, so say, audience. I mean, and customers that you can talk to that before were probably close to specific vendors because everything was vertically integrated. So I guess that it's even ahead of the big numbers in deployments, which are still we're still building to that. That's a very good way to go. From a radio point of view, how do you see is it difficult to integrate with all the other vendors? Because it's open, so it's an opportunity for you, but it's also work in the sense that you have to deal with more partners.
So this is a direct quote from one of our good partners. With Open RAN, integration is actually easier. And the approach is the interoperability architecture specification is defined. And as long as all the sites adhere to that specification, and design to specification and build to that specification, then interoperability is actually much simpler, because then we're just verifying on both sides or multiple sides the interoperability specification that we have designed. And we're finding that as well as we work with many of our partners. We don't see interoperability as an issue. For us, interoperability helps both sides. We're finding things that could have been hidden under a closed network. They're actually being brought up, and we deal with them, whether that's security, whether that's performance issues. For us. Others may be saying things that are different, but we actually see interoperability to be great. There are distinctions, of course, when you talk about interoperability within a brownfield or a greenfield. We have the unique advantage that we have done this on both sides. We work with partners who have brownfield, we are working with partners who have greenfield only. And so the model by which we bring Open RAN into your ecosystem may be different. We have listened to others in the industry saying it's only possible in green. I'm here to say it's possible in green, and it's also possible in brown. Okay.
But what are the differences? Because I completely agree with you, but I think that it's also important to realize that it's not the same thing, or it's not the same process. Because clearly, for a greenfield, not only it's easier, I would say, but it's also different.
Yes. So I would define three models. Let me define what I call completely green, which is the case that you have with an operator like Dish. They're starting from scratch. They don't have to worry about a legacy network. And so as far as in that model, everything that you're doing open from a CU to DU to RU to RIC, it's fresh off the ground. That's what people consider to be completely green. But you also have what I would call green within brown. Green within brown means you're able to do a completely fresh deployment within your brown field network where you are leveraging a separate spectrum. We're seeing that with many of our customers where they're defining the new spectrum to be like the C-band. And so they will use the C-band as the entry point into their network and tie all of that C-band deployment with part of their network maybe from a core perspective. So to me, that's a green within a brownfield deployment. Then you come to the dynamics of what I call completely brown, where I have a legacy network of LTE. I have a legacy, even in some cases, legacy network of 3G, and still be able to insert, that's the word, insert an Open RAN environment into that atmosphere. We've seen that with Docomo. We have worked with Docomo very effectively to do this, where they had a legacy network like 3G, 4G, and even within that, ORAN, Open RAN, is being adopted and successful. We have integrated our radio, our CUDU with other providers on that environment and see the fruit of the open interface.
And that means that there's going to be more of a gradual adoption of Open RAN among those players. I mean, there's not that many Dish and Rakutens in the world, so most of them are going to be, brown, green and brown, or all the variations, as you say, from all the way from green to brown. Do you see any sort of difference, and maybe also across different geography, in terms of moving to Open RAN, say in rural networks versus metro networks or small cells, massive MIMO? Is there an area where you see more activity?
So we are seeing a lot of initial adoption on the macro network because our competitors have actually successfully tried to influence the industry that the performance is different. And so from a macro network deployment, we are really doing the heavy lift of saying it is on par with your macro network performance. And in some cases, there are other advantages that we actually see. So we're beginning to see a lot in the macro deployment. But now we're also beginning to see more on the enterprise side, where your ability to mix and match, to replace software, to upgrade software much easier is now the adoption that we're seeing in the enterprise. Now, in the rural, because the number of components that you have and the scale of your deployment are not that much, we're still seeing a little bit of slow adoption in the rural. But from a macro point of view, from an enterprise play point of view, we're seeing the adoption coming into play. One of our own tasks or one of our own challenges or we see as opportunity is for us to really scale out in rural adoption. So the concept of replacing a RAN as part of the strategy from a US government point of view, introduction of Open RAN is one of the things that we want to take advantage of in that space.
Yes. So now let's talk about a sort of different dimension here. When we think about Open RAN, most of people would think, oh, you can get any number of vendors, it's plug and play, and it's all general purpose. General purpose hardware. Now, okay, multiple vendors, fine, but the general purpose hardware, COTS, is that the way to optimize? Because yes, you have that, but you also started to see more optimized hardware solutions. So what do you think is going on there? What is going to be what is the market going to go?
So
where are you going at Fujitsu?
Where are we going? So with general purpose and the adoption of general purpose hardware for deploying RAN, is that it has actually pushed the industry to be more competitive. The price of servers has really, we're taking advantage of silicon availability now to actually leverage quad servers across multiple verticals of our industry. It used to be that you just leverage it on the core side or just on the software side. Now, with the cost competitiveness, we're able to leverage that across all our industry. So we're seeing adoption of that. Now, when you need performance that is so to be on par with dedicated hardware, we're also seeing the introduction of silicon, okay, with the accelerators from many areas, whether that's a GPU-based or DSP-based or FPGA-based, to really optimize performance on the front of being able to be on par or even better with the hardware. So we see the adoption of general purpose hardware to be key. We see the introduction of silicon from multiple vendors, by the way, multiple vendors. So it's not just what I build, it's the availability of multiple silicon to open up the industry that we're seeing. So then where we are going is, yes, it's open, the interfaces are open, but we are adopting, as we build our own products, we are adopting the modularity approach. So then we can really optimize the products that we give to specific customers much quicker because we have a modular design. And so if what I need to give to customer A, I can start with a base product in a modular fashion. And within a very short period of time, because this is already designed, whether it's in form of hardware, in form of software or form factor, since it's designed in a modular fashion, I can actually do almost like a Lego approach to optimize the same base for others. So that approach is really working very well for us in terms of optimization. But from a performance point of view, there is no distinction between a general purpose based solution versus an open RAN based solution. 3GPP is still the same 3GPP. ORAN is just defining interface, open interface, so that we can have multiple players within the ecosystem. What we're also finding out, by the way, is that yes, the entrance barrier is very low because now a lot of players can come into the environment. So the entry barrier is low, but also the exit barrier is also low because the ecosystem forces you to be very competitive. So if you come in and your stuff is not good, you're going to get kicked out. So for us, it's actually great because we know that our stuff do work. So we were going into where the market is going with servers, core servers, accelerators, and software. That's our approach.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess that, open RAN means that you have the flexibility and the choice, but doesn't mean that everybody has to do the same. And in fact, that's exactly the opportunity to differentiate if you're an operator by doing things differently. And clearly, if you want to do that, you might need, or you might want to have to add some differences. So the base is the same, an open interface that everybody uses, but then you, on top of that, you build, you optimize.
Right.
And that's where I think that sort of comes into your final role, which is that of integrating the whole thing, getting it to
Correct.
work. Because
Correct.
clearly, if you have a network that is vertically integrated, there is only one vendor, that vendor is going to by and large do the integration.
Right.
In Open RAN, that approach doesn't work anymore. So what is that we need
Correct.
to do differently, and what is that you are contributing to that?
So that's actually a great point. We are very strategic in how we approach Open RAN ecosystem to our customers, because we also don't want to create the impression that we're bringing you everything. It's already pre-integrated. We give it to you. Then we're not different from the traditional RAN providers who says you need everything. But what we are also doing, in addition to making sure that we have templates ready, blueprints ready, we will give you the choice. We have various models for our integration. You can choose the different components that you want as part of your network, and we can help you to stitch that together, whether that's from a front of radio to DU, DU to CU, and even CU to core. We can help you to choose the different components. In fact, many of our operators are coming to us and saying, tell us the best in breed that you have seen, that you have worked with, that you have integrated with, and bring that into our network. So there's the blueprint aspect, which you can take what we have put together, right? And then just roll that out into your network. Or there's the approach where I want the different pieces. Give me some suggestions. This is how beautiful Open RAN has become. Give me some suggestions. And then we also help to bring that into the market. So there are no penalties for performance because it's open. And like one of our customers says, integration is the easiest part. One of the things that has not been talked about, but the benefit as well, is that because it's open, and because in most cases it's virtual RAN, it's actually very easy to upgrade operators, to upgrade vendors, to really upgrade vendors. So if I'm in a CTA and I'm deploying vendor software X, if that vendor software X is not performing very well, I can upgrade. I can literally upgrade to the one that performs better. Think about what I just said in the simplest form. This will never happen in an existing RAN. It will be very costly. It will be billions of dollars to really rip out somebody else and replace. So in this case, if I'm operating on Open RAN philosophy, I have servers or COD servers. I can literally upgrade to somebody else's virtual software, and my system is back. So this is in addition to automation and the rig and other features that we're introducing from a software point of view. Open RAN gives that flexibility to you, and we are seeing that work in our environment.
Absolutely. No, and I think that this is really an important point that you're raising, is that you just think of system integration basically in a different way. And once you've learned that, then it's easier. I guess that the issue is that you need to get there. So for the operators, they need to do this. Is the initial, there's an initial jump that they have to do, but then the what interoperability means is different. Or how do you introduce it into the network?
Right. So we're seeing many of the traditional RAN vendors really being afraid of, how do I do this? How do I do this? One of the things that we have also done as part of our integration is something that we are calling a playbook. There's a playbook. We put together a playbook that says, we have done X, Y, Z so that you don't have to. They're worried about operationalizing. They're worried about, how do I connect X to Y? How do I check the performance? We have a playbook. We can start from 1 to 2 to 3, and this is the role that we needed to play. And by the time we get to number 10, you have Open RAN as part of your network. So we're trying to demystify what some of our competitors have said, oh, integration is really, really serious. No, we have a playbook, and we're sharing that playbook with many operators to get this in your network.
Absolutely. Final questions.
Yes.
What do you see in terms of Open RAN? What is the biggest challenge, the biggest opportunity?
The biggest challenge is demystifying, teaching legacy operators that you can get benefits out of Open RAN. Think about where we were about 2 years ago, where supply chain hindered so many things. There are MNOs that their network suffered because they had only one dimension. We had only one supplier. Open RAN gives you flexibility. If you had introduced openness into your network, you have multiple choices. Supply chain will not be an issue. So the challenge is demystifying. For us, the opportunity is everywhere. Whether that's from the enterprise point of view, from a macro network point of view, the opportunities are there for us. I actually like the fact that we're also going to see much more in terms of software and data analytics, because as you put this together, we begin to be able to derive software from a software point of view, data from that network, and analyzing that data gives us better approach, whether we want to use AI and ML to introduce better performance into the network. So the challenges are real. The demystifying is real. We are slowly chipping away at that, but the opportunities are great, and we want to leverage as much of that as possible.
Absolutely. So great opportunity, but we need to learn first. So,
yes.
Well, Mizuno-san and Femi, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today.
Good to be here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you all for listening in. And you can read this conversation and read the report at senseofili.com that covers the Open RAN ecosystem. Thank you again.